So 25 seconds. That's all it took for us to walk in there and pretty much let them boys know that there's a new sheriff in town. You know what I'm saying? And I was surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I expected us to go in there and beat these dudes by 3-0 within the first 60 minutes of the game. Pleasantly surprised, but nonetheless excited. I'm sorry. I'm actually getting this match reaction to you all a little bit late, but I know that we are on a road to 10 subscribers. We actually have 5 subscribers right now. So shout out to all the subscribers. Welcome to the Press FC, y'all. And this is where we're pretty much going to talk mostly Arsenal, but then also speak about some football stories across Europe, and maybe once in a while here in the United States as well. So, welcome to the Press FC, and let's get right into it. So, straight off the jump, it took us 30 seconds after the kickoff to walk into Cardiff and pretty much let everyone know that there's a new sheriff in town and we're not going to be kicked around like we have been in the past couple of years. Even if you look at last season, some of our performances last season weren't really indicative of what we eventually ended up doing, which was winning the championship. Both times we faced City last year, they looked like the better team. And I think no one can say that anymore. I think we're at the top of the food chain now. And I think from here on out, it's just about maintaining our position and trying to find a way to better the team and to continue to grow on what we have. I think this summer bringing Bruno in was a step into the right direction. I was extremely nervous going into the game because everything we were doing in the preseason looked completely disjointed. It didn't look like we had the right patterns of play. It didn't look like we were very organized. A lot of the times we got caught on the counterattack. I think there was a couple of times where our defense looked extremely shaky. So coming into the game, I was very much bracing myself. I was very much ready to sort of see how potentially Man City would target some of those inefficiencies in our squad and potentially be able to hurt us on the counter or hurt us in a lot of different ways because they do have Holland. Going back to the World Cup experience, we saw what Holland did to Gabriel. So going into this game, I'm not going to lie, y'all, I was very nervous. And not that I was nervous that they were better than us per se. It's just I was nervous because I hadn't seen anything in our preseason thus far that showed me that we could come here and dominate the way we did. So going into the game, I sat there and I kind of braced myself for it, right? I braced myself for what could. And within 30 seconds of the beginning of the game, I kind of knew we were gonna win it. All the doubt that I had went straight out the window within 30 seconds of the game starting. And I think that speaks to the level of pressing we had in that first 30 seconds. It was insane. The level of progressive passes we were making. You know, when you look back at last season, everyone wants to call us, the negative team, the set piece team, the anti-football team, or whatever else people want to call it. But we weren't we haven't been that, first of all, and we absolutely were not that on Sunday. So shout out to Mikel's boys, and let's keep doing that. Throughout this game, we saw a lot of Calafiori making a lot of beautiful runs, players making themselves available to receive the ball. And I think we just played with much more enthusiasm, with a sense of urgency that we hadn't had in our previous preseason games. And we looked like a completely different team from the last time we were out against Como. Of course, some of that could be attributed to the fact that some of our players were back. This was a much more serious game. We weren't just trying to see what works. We were really putting our best foot forward. But in reality, this wasn't our best squad. And to be able to put out that squad and to dominate Man City the way we did, I think it speaks to just how far Arsenal's come in terms of our depth and our playing style, the way that we've evolved under Mikel Arteta. We've gone from a team that in the beginning figured out how to win, right? You look back at the run to the first FA Cup, right? We pretty much just figured out how to win. I remember playing with a back three back then, having Aubameyang just kind of make things happen and just getting the ball to him whenever we could for him to make things happen. On that run, we were able to beat Chelsea, beat Man City. And even after that, we struggled a bit, but you could see that there was a DNA there. There was a clear understanding of how we wanted to play. And I think in the seasons afterwards, we demonstrated that to a degree, but we got to a point where Mikel may have started to realize that with the current makeup of the squad, we weren't able to win playing progressive football the way we had been playing in the years prior. So he became a little bit more conservative. He became a little bit more structured. He became a little bit more controlled in order to be able to control the different variables in the game so that we can control every little minute detail that we could as a team in order to create the outcomes that would best suit us, right? And in doing so, I think Arsenal lost a lot of its identity. I think we lost a lot of the free flowing football that we would see because we were trying to control so many different facets of the game, especially the defense. We were trying to control and push teams to play us the way that we would best defend them in a sense and put them in positions where we had the upper hand in terms of what we were doing defensively, moving them into spaces where we could defend or we could have the upper hand in defending. And I think we did that extremely well last season, apart from a couple of games where we had some hiccups and we were able to hold on using that style to win. But when you look at the way we played yesterday, there's a total difference in how we're moving the ball forward, the kind of runs that players are making, the kind of security that players have when they're on the ball. One of the guys that you could point to for his ability to sort of control this pace of the game is Bruno. I think when you look at Bruno and everything that he adds to the game, it's just beautiful. I don't really have another another adjective right now to describe it. It's just effortless. It's Bruno just being unpressable, always feeling like he has so much time on the ball and his ability to pick out passes, to slow things down when they need to be slowed down, and to speed it up when they need to be sped up. I think Bruno is the exact profile that we've been missing for a long time. And when you look at the pivot between Bruno and Miles, there's something to be said about that potentially being our best pivot. Now, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here, right? Obviously, Declan Rice has demonstrated what he's demonstrated over the course of the last couple of seasons, and I'm not taking anything away from that. But I'm saying purely in terms of skills on the ball and the ability to progress the ball, not carry the ball, but the ability to progress the ball, I think watching Miles and Bruno in the midfield, you constantly felt like we were just going forward. There was never a time in the game where you sat back, sort of like last season, and had this frustration with us passing it backwards when we had all of the opportunity to go forward and potentially create a chance or even score a goal. This first game of this season is totally different in the way that we played because we had Bruno and Miles in the center there and just constantly pushing it forward, and quite honestly making Odegaard's life a little bit easier as well. Because if you notice in the game, Martin Odegaard wasn't coming as far back as we've gotten used to Martin Odegaard come, right? Because Bruno has come in and is able to facilitate and be that link between our attack and defense, and he's able to sort of move the ball progressively forward and carry it and control it and not feel this pressure that maybe a Declan Rice or a Martin Zubimendi would feel because they don't have that silky slickness on the ball. We now have someone who has that ability, who can come and receive the ball and give it to Odegaard and open up his ability to be able to be more of an offensive player. I think for too long we've relied on Odegaard being able to step all the way back and then progress the ball forward, and then also relying on Odegaard to be the guy to make the front three tick. I think that's a lot of responsibilities, and hopefully we'll continue to see the best of Odegaard in this new role where he has more freedom to be able to move into the 10 space and just exploit all of those spaces, right? I think we see that on the second goal when Odegaard exploited the space that was created in the center when some of our midfielders or attacking forwards made central runs forward. Odegaard was able to find that space. Solis found him in that space, and then he was able to, score the goal. I don't think it was a second goal; it was a third goal. I haven't been the greatest fan of Odegaard, but I can admit that in this game, he demonstrated exactly why Mikel Arteta trusts him so much. I think Mikel Arteta is very aware of the skill sets that Odegaard has, and maybe in past seasons haven't been utilized to the extent that it could be. But with Bruno coming in, I do expect to see Odegaard be further up and have more responsibilities in helping the top three, the front three, tick a little better. I think having Kai Havertz in that space, having Solis, who seems to be a pretty good pickup, making a lot of those runs is going to be useful. So we should be able to see the best of Odegaard. I want to see the best of Odegaard going forward. I haven't always been the biggest fan, like I've said, but I think we've seen what he's capable of in seasons past, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend as if he's not going to be able to get back to that level because he very much could. However, there are some deficiencies in Odegaard's game that I think he can work on. I think a lot of times he's a bit too fragile. I've seen so many games where Odegaard just gets pushed off the ball and it doesn't seem like he's really fighting in or he has that intensity like a captain of Arsenal should have, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully we see more of this Odegaard going forward than the latter. I want to get into talking about Christian Solis. Christos Zolis. Let's get into talking about Christos Zolis. And Christos is a very interesting case because I think he's one that none of us expected to join the club, quite honestly, up until we started seeing news about us targeting him maybe a couple of months ago. No one had probably ever heard of the guy. And if you had, please let me know what you had heard about him and what your thoughts are on him as a player, especially going into the new season. I'd love to hear what you all's perspectives are on the player. But Solis is a contribution machine, it looks like, right? He's starting to pretty much demonstrate to us that I might not be the flashiest guy here. I might not be the fastest guy here. I might not even be the most skillful guy here, but what I can do is exploit open spaces and find my man with the best pass every single time. And that's literally all he does. He's quiet for most of the game. He minds his business. He does the defensive work. He tracks back. He does pretty much everything Mikel Arteta would expect of him. And then right at the right time, he makes the right decisions all the time. It's actually crazy. I wasn't expecting him to be this good. I'll just say it like that, right? It seems like he makes the best decision every single time. For example, Odegaard crosses the ball from the top right angle. It's curving. Now, most strikers in that position will think, oh, I got a good chance at this. I could test the goalkeeper here, you know? And Solis was never thinking that, not for 1 second. When you look in his direction, not for 1 second is he thinking about hitting the target. The whole time, as you watch the replays, the whole time he's thinking, where should I head this ball and how can I get it there at the right level, at the right pace, so that I can make Havertz's job as easy as possible. And that's exactly what he did. He hung in the air for a little bit. He laid it on the silver platter, and Havertz went ahead and scored it. And then in the build-up to Martin Odegaard's goal, we see Miles Lewis-Kelly once again, excellent player, demonstrating that he's here, he's on the level, and he's really working to try to own a place in this squad. But to keep the subject on Solis, Miles Lewis-Kelly passes the ball to Solis, right? Now, Solis could have drove, down the line and crossed it with his left foot or whatever, or he could have tried to cut in and take a shot on his own. But going back to him making all the right decisions all the time, the moment he switched to the right foot and he saw that there was a lane opening up, he just put the ball in a dangerous position. And Odegaard was able to take a couple steps ahead, get that first touch, pass Guavi, whoever that defender was, and then be able to slot it past the goalkeeper Donnarumma. And I think it was just you know what I'm saying? It was just like just beautiful, man. And looking at the way we played throughout this game, it's just a sign that we're back. Like like we're back. Like be very afraid. Like to the rest of the league, be very afraid. Be extremely afraid because there's not much that any team in the league could do now, right? We've demonstrated that we can come into the house and smack our next best opponent 3-0. Even if it's not our best team out there, we could come in there and beat them 3-0. So imagine just what we could do to the rest of the league once everything starts to gel and once all of our best players start to come back. I think it's really going to be a hassle for the rest of the league, and it looks like we should be able to go ahead and do a repeat, you know what I'm saying, and do a back-to-back. So I'm expecting a back-to-back, quite honestly. Nothing more, nothing less. I mean, actually, let me not say nothing more because I am looking forward to that UEFA Champions League. And if that UEFA Champions League does come home this year, I will be in London to celebrate that. So shout out to my 5 subscribers, you know what I'm saying? So I will be in London to watch the or to celebrate with everybody if we do end up making it to the UEFA Champions League finals and winning the whole thing. Um, Lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about Martinelli and Wanieri. I think there comes a time where managers have to make like very ruthless decisions, and I think we would all be doing a disservice to our team if we said that these ruthless decisions were not necessary. I think a lot of us have this like pent up and sort of bottled emotions for all of the players that we play with, which is warranted, right? Which is amazing. But at the end of the day, it's a business of winning, you know what I'm saying? And if players are not at the level or aren't sort of demonstrating that they can maintain the level or they can reach the level and go beyond it, I think it's only right that we start to get to a point where we're a bit more ruthless in terms of who gets to stay at the club and who has to move on to make space for better talent. With that being said, shout out to Arteta. Hurry up and sign that new contract. Matter of fact, don't sign that new contract till they bring in somebody for 150 million or something like that, man. But yeah, hopefully we could get in maybe a striker like Osimhen, or maybe we could get in a proper left winger in the form of Barcola. There's some news is saying that he could be open to leaving and coming to Arsenal, but I don't think we gonna pay no damn 140 million for him. So the likelihood of that is probably not happening. But I love the direction that we're going into right now, y'all. I think we are primed to win the league again, and hopefully the UEFA Champions League this year, and then we'll see where we go from there. Next, y'all, I'm gonna be doing predictions for the upcoming season. Pretty much the top 10, who's gonna finish in the top 10 and why. I have a pretty interesting opinion on that. So if y'all want to see that, please come back to the video and we'll chat about that. Maybe in the next week. I'll try to get that out by Thursday. All right, y'all. Take care. Peace.